Hello again, and welcome back to another video with the Money Paradise channel. So, in my experience with politics, with religion, in dealing with relationships, friendships, I have dealt with a lot of different fears about each one of those categories. And in dealing with them over time, it has gotten a lot easier to navigate who I am. I wanted to do a video previously that I don't know if I ever really got around to organizing it into something that I could actually use for a video, but in making these videos for you, I've really started to find my voice, find myself in a lot of unique ways. Because in terms of finding my voice, I look back to my childhood and I think on some of those experiences in which I wasn't allowed to have a voice, wasn't allowed to voice my opinions or my emotions, things like that. And only through years of reflection and perspective and whatever the hell else I've applied to my life to kind of make sense of all of it, only through those things have I just now started to really hear myself when I speak and really understand the power of my words, the ability to speak things into existence, the ability to convey my emotions to others. Those things I never really thought about being important, but now I do. Now I see the power that resides in me, and through my voice, that is how I am conveying that strength, that inner strength, I guess. Yeah. So speaking on things like my childhood, my past traumatic experiences, my anxiety, those things have definitely gotten easier to talk about as time goes on. Kind of to the point of knowing that who I was back then is not who I am now. And so now I can speak on those things as a way to continue that therapy, continue the healing, and also to be of service to others. My story being told is for that purpose, to serve you, to serve those that are going through similar things, and just for them to know that they are not alone, that there are people out there that go through the same shit, and it is something that can be overcome. It's not a certainty if you're dealing with something like anxiety, that you're just destined to just deal with it and have it rule over your life forever. It's definitely an obstacle, but as I've learned for myself, I have definitely seen those obstacles as opportunities. And it's not easy to do that when you're frustrated, when you're at your wit's end, when you think you're going insane, and you're just like, I don't know what else to do to fix this, whatever this is. It's like I don't know what to do now. I've tried everything and nothing's working, and so you get frustrated. So that's kind of something that I've learned for myself, is that the obstacles that are presented to me, I can react to them as opportunities to grow and to learn and heal, ultimately. Because of all of that, I have been able to work through some of those fears that I mentioned before. And then in certain areas of my life, I've definitely changed drastically. My politics have definitely changed drastically. I'd say from 10 years ago till now, it's totally different. 10 years ago, me being asked, do you think you would see our government the same way as you do now? As not a red versus blue thing like you feel now, 10 years ago Cody. But present day Cody now believes that you're not picking a side. You're looking at the government as an entity, as something that is broken and corrupt and definitely needs an overhaul and all that. And yeah, the 10 years ago version of me would have laughed, would have definitely been like, there's no way. I was not ultra right wing, but definitely on the right wing side, right leaning side, And this was before Trump. I'll I don't know, put a preface to that. I only voted really in two elections, to be honest. Even with my views at the time, at that time, I only voted a couple of times. It wasn't like a hardcore right wing kind of thing, but definitely had some views about the Democrat Party that I don't have now. And now it's like I see both sides being equally bad. So the fears I had politically were, it was all based on watching the news, watching what the pundits would talk about, and the fear mongering that would be put on display. Also talk radio was another thing that I heavily digested, heavily consumed, I should say, on a daily basis. And the right-wing side of radio, everything was wrong with the world, you know what I mean? But they were the answer. The Constitution and upholding it, and Second Amendment, and getting Obama out at all costs to prevent World War III, and then preventing him from becoming an emperor, and silly, really silly shit, you know what I mean? But there was a lot of fear-mongering that I bought into at that time. Hook, line, and sinker, I can admit that. Friendships was another big one for me. The fear of losing friendships, losing family, that just stemmed from my childhood. It was a constant, abandonment issue where you didn't have both parents growing up. You didn't have you didn't have a father growing up, and you didn't really have a mother per se. And again, I had to do a lot of forgiving and a lot of understanding of the situations that both my mother and father put themselves in at times, and sometimes they found moments of clarity and made choices to safeguard against further damage upon their offspring. And so yeah, I could resolve that in myself to kind of move on, like, hey, they, what, for better or for worse, they did the best they could, and that's all any of us can do, I suppose. And I've definitely taken what they've done and learned from their choices. I won't say mistakes. I don't know. I'm not here to judge them anymore. That's not me. I'm not judging what was done. It's something that I've moved on from. But it's because of that environment that created that sense of abandonment with all my future friendships and relationships. And so, well into my adult years, that was something that was still with me, trying to keep my friends together, trying to make it a point to be in their lives. If I hadn't talked to them in like a few weeks or whatever, I would start to feel anxious about it. Like, oh, I think my friendship is on the outs because we haven't talked. I mean, what? I wonder what they're thinking about me, in terms of our friendship. Again, crazy shit. It's a simple phone call at that point, like I didn't know that at the time. It's just like, hey, if you want to talk to your friend, then just call. You want to find out where they're at, then talk to them and find out where they're at. That was the simple answer back then that I wasn't able to understand at the time. But now I understand that it's just one of those things that you gain through experience. That's all it is. So in learning from those fears, it allowed me political wise, I was able to open myself up more to different opinions, different viewpoints, and not be afraid of opposition, not be afraid of discourse, to embrace dialogue and embrace opportunity in gaining perspective. And with friendships, it was a simple matter of recognizing that sometimes the friends you have are for a certain time and a certain place in your life. And sometimes that place and time passes and you have to move on. And sometimes people move on from you, and sometimes it's mutual and sometimes it's not. But ultimately, some of those friendships were never meant to last. And that's something I had to understand as well. That who I was at those times with those people in my life, there was no other way to go about it. And now I consider my circle to be very, very select, very few, and I think that's for the better. That's the best thing for me, I should say. Definitely easier to manage my emotions when it comes to my tribe, my selected family, because now I know where everyone stands with me and I with them, and those old fears never get triggered. And that's kind of an important thing for me now, is recognizing the triggers of those fears and understanding that they sometimes are not justifiable, those triggers, and those fears themselves are not justifiable. So I am definitely better able to recognize what those triggers are and understand that parts of that are from the old me, not who I am now. And I can choose to stay away from those triggers, I suppose, to avoid them, not to engage in those fears, and just kind of put a spotlight on them. You know, that's another thing. It's like when you shine light on the problem, you can see the problem a little better. You can see different angles, you can see the shadows, and you're better able to navigate the problem. And so it's definitely allowed me to be more patient with myself as well as others, whereas before I was definitely not patient with people. And so yeah, it's just one of those things that now I can see that change, and I know it's for the better, but it's because of that healing in regards to those fears that I'm at a better place than I've ever been. So having to kind of change my viewpoints on my politics, on friendships, on relationships, especially with family. Those are long-standing fears that I've worked on for a long time, and I'm probably definitely not done yet working on those, because I sometimes think on some of those old friendships, and I sometimes think about my family, like specifically my siblings, the people that grew up with me, the people that lived in the same environment that I did in my childhood. They experienced the same shit, and we're not close anymore. And I don't know if we were ever really close, even if excuse me, even in our childhood. I mean, that's a video in of itself, just describing that environment. And maybe I'll speak on that someday. I don't know. Like my older brother, we never grew up together. I didn't meet him until I was about 9 or 10, and he was about 19, 20-ish. So there's like a 10-year age gap between us, give or take. And we never grew up together as kids. So even though we have that age gap, we share the same mother and father. And so we definitely sometimes speak on our old war stories, I guess I like to call them. You know, it's like trading war stories with him about our childhoods with our parents. And I guess it's a way of healing. I don't know. It's not. I don't know. I don't think it really is. I think sometimes it's just a way to just laugh at it. You know, if you can laugh at tragedy, I think that's a good way to get the healing started. I think, as weird as it sounds, I don't know. It's just something that we've always done. We've definitely laughed at tragedy from time to time, and it definitely has helped. So I think if it's beneficial and if it moves you along, then by all means laugh and joke about it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Me and my brother, we have a sick sense of humor, anyways. But that's again. That's another time. But anyways, that's for another time. He's always suggested to me that I could write a book on my childhood specifically, and there are a lot of stories for sure. I don't know if that's something I'm interested in, but I can definitely talk about it. That, like I said, like part of that healing process has been talking about those experiences, things that I've told my friends in the past. Like they've been horrified, they've been like brought to tears by it, you know. And for me, it's definitely not a way of like, oh, feel sorry for me, take pity on me. It's my stories are never meant for that kind of reaction. But when they, you know, deal with their families, they, you know, they kind of, they think about me, and it's kind of like I think in one old friendship that I had, they used me as an example with their kids of like how good they have it versus what I had as a kid at their age. So I was like the yardstick, the measurement of like, hey, you got it sweet compared to old Cody over there. You know, this kid, he went through some shit compared to you guys. So what are you complaining about? You know, and that's okay. I could be used in that way, I suppose, if that's how I'm of service to someone. Sure. But I can definitely speak on those things because it's not as difficult for me as it used to be. Now that I've again found my voice, and I seem to open up a little bit more as time goes on in making these videos for you. I mean, when you see me looking around the camera, because I don't have a script, so it's definitely me looking for the words, and sometimes I don't have the words. That's just how I am, you know. Sometimes I'm just a guy with a limited vocabulary. Sometimes I don't know. I think that's okay, and over time I'll get better. That's my plan, is to get better with making these videos and being of service with this content in any capacity that I can be. I just wanted to kind of give you like a little insight into how I go about explaining myself, because yeah, you see me kind of look around and stuff when I'm trying to form a thought, and sometimes it does take some effort for me to get the sentence out, you know. And I hope it's not frustrating for you. If it is, I apologize. I try to edit things down as best I can, while also trying not to dilute myself and what I'm, you know, putting out. So I'm a work in progress, and this channel is definitely a work in progress as time goes on. I definitely still am thinking about you as someone who is wanting to grow with themselves and wanting to expand and heal and learn. And so that's ultimately what I want this channel to be about, to help you. There's an alarm going on. I don't know why all of a sudden, middle of the day. I hope the audio isn't terrible. Okay, it turned off. All right. I hope this channel is benefiting you in that way. And if it's through my experiences and my stories, then that's how I am best suited to being of service. That's my goal in any capacity going forward, is to be of service. And it's definitely something that I resonate with a lot, as I've realized for myself, growing up. I have definitely been selfish in a negative way for a long time. People have done for me, people have gone out of their way to help me, and I've never really tipped the scales back into balance in that respect. So I feel like I definitely owe the universe a debt, and it's only because of, in thinking of my childhood and thinking about all the different situations I could have been in, like growing up in a poor neighborhood where there were gangs and drug dealers and prostitutes everywhere. Like, it was the worst environment for a kid to grow up in. But I never got addicted to drugs. I never got shot. I never got stabbed or robbed or sexually assaulted. You know what I mean? I am so grateful for that. The universe was definitely looking out for me in a lot of ways. And so that's what leads me to think that I do owe the universe in some capacity. And I know that I will be of service to give back. That's where I want to be. And I'm it's definitely a debt that I am not upset to pay back. You know what I mean? That's not like a credit card debt. It's like it's just paying it forward. You know what I mean? Like, just returning the favor that was bestowed upon me, and being of service to you in any capacity. I guess that's my way of giving back. As I move forward in life with my personal goals, my financial goals, that's a big part of my focus going forward, is also putting the finances behind that to really make an impact on the world in terms of paying it back, that debt, I guess. But I'm glad to share these stories with you, to talk about my experiences, to talk about my fears. There are fears that I have still, that I am still working through, but I'm in the best place mentally to be able to face those fears head on whenever they come up. And if you're watching this and you're struggling with something like that, then it's my hope that you see this and you understand that it's definitely something that you cannot avoid. That's the main thing that I would tell you, is you have to look into the abyss sometimes, and you have to really stare down the barrel and face it. I equate my health issues last year with facing my death and basically being okay with it, and not in a way that says like I'm ready to die or something like that. No, it's more along the lines of I am accepting of whatever time I have on this earth, and I recognize that for me, and this is where I go into like kind of my religious beliefs that have evolved over time, is there was definitely a fear of death too. for a long time. And now I see things more as like a continuation, and I definitely see death as another part of the journey, that there's something afterwards. I don't know what that is, but I know that energy doesn't die. It may be separated and dissolved and dissipated and moved around and shifted, but it does not die. It does not get destroyed. Energy moves and turns into different things, transforms. It can become something small or something much larger than itself, but it definitely does not go away forever. No matter where the road of life takes me, there you go, I will go down that road to its conclusion, and then whatever happens afterward, it's a bonus. I don't see how I live this life as the end. And so facing that fear, facing the fear of death and staring into that abyss, that was an awakening for me, that there's no turning back from that. Like once you get awakened in that sense, you really don't go back to that old way of thinking. Like, I can have conversations with people now from all different religions and walks of life, and I can just be in the moment with them and in the experience of having a conversation with another human being, and not get tied up in, well, you believe that and I believe this, so this is where we're at, and I don't see how we're going to meet in the middle. I don't see it that way anymore. I see it as, I can learn from this person. I can choose to do that. I can choose to enjoy the time I have with them in any capacity. And if they have wisdom of any sort, I'm all about it. Wisdom in of itself to me is very valuable. And that's something that I actively seek whenever I get to speak to someone, especially from an older generation. Like I've always respected my elders, but I understand why that is for me. It's because I didn't get the benefit of my elders' wisdom when I was a kid. So now, as an adult, I seek it wherever I can get it. And even, and this is also like one of those things where it's like, I'm not asking for your opinion on something, but when I speak of wisdom, it's like a person's experience, their firsthand knowledge that they've gained for themselves, you know, and maybe it doesn't apply to me, but it's still valuable. Like, the stories I tell in front of this camera has value, and someone will resonate with it. If it's not you, it'll be someone else. I know that for sure. And I don't sweat the details of what I need to do to grow my channel or how many people I need to reach. I definitely see those aspects of what I want to do with this channel as just things that will happen organically. And learning from other people, learning from experienced individuals, and learning from others' experiences in general helps me kind of create my art and paint on my tapestry of my life, I guess. But I definitely just wanted to speak on dealing with fear and knowing that these things can be conquered 100%, because it's a mental battle. And I've always preached that in my videos. It's like it's not about the yachts and the Lambos and the limousines and the designer jewelry. It's not about that. It's about here. It's about the people you surround yourself with. Like, that's the wealth we really need. We need good people around us. We need to be good people so that we can be the good example. We need to be leading by example, and we're all leaders. I've spoken on that before as well. And part of that mental game is taking on those fears head on and defeating them. You know, at the very least, fighting them and saying, you know what, not anymore. You're not going to rule my life. That's a big part of what I went through, was basically saying, I'm in control. And I'm not going to let this fear dictate my life, rule over me, and decide my fate. Whatever this existence is, I tend to think that I have control over my decisions, my free will. I don't know if that's true or not, but belief is a very powerful thing. And so, believing in myself, that I can conquer my fears, that I can manifest whatever I want in my life, and I can surround myself with amazing people and be of service to them and be of service to the greater community at large. That's all I want to be a part of. That's all I want in life. And conquering those fears is a big part of that, to get myself in that position, to be my best self for you, to be my best self for my family, my friends. And yeah, that's ultimately what I want for everyone, is that you don't need to let those fears rule over you. You don't need to let those people in your life that instill those fears in you, you don't need to give them power, your energy anymore. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. But ultimately, you decide where you put your energy. Do you put it in those fears, or do you put it in yourself and what you believe can be done, what you believe is possible? And if you start thinking in terms of anything is possible, the endless possibilities for yourself, those fears will just wash away. You just gotta start believing. Stop fearing and start believing, I guess, is the line. But anyways, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna end it here. I feel good. I feel good about this one. This was a good conversation. And I know a lot of times, not many of you leave a comment in the video, but it's always encouraged. And definitely don't be shy. You're in a safe space to speak your truth, whatever in whatever capacity you wish. If this resonates with you, like the video, of course. I would appreciate that. That really helps me out, helps the channel out. You know, I want to grow this channel into something that really is of service to the greater community, you know, and your support means everything. All of my subscribers, thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you know. Big shout out to Brent Staple, XRP Slave, Ghost Money. You guys are always in my comments. You're always showing your love and support. And again, I really do appreciate you. And I support everything you guys are about and everything you guys do. So again, thank you. And anyone else that, chooses to leave a comment, anyone who else subscribes or likes the video or even shares the video, I very much appreciate you, and I thank you so much. With that said, I'm out. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Take care.